4-2. What happens if he hits? If a zombie, which this is, we
Should
pull
have
that
had
down
a
to
like
the 3 player.
four.
And
Should have had a four.
why didn't you do it?
G'day all, JP, Top Deck Commander, coming back to you with a new video this month. Technically late from last month, but never mind. Allies. One of the strangest, one of the least used tribal decks, typal decks out there. Always found them intriguing. There's everything you need in your allies. They give you haste, vigilance, lifelink, double strike, first strike, everything except death touch you can get out of an ally. They also, some will tap for mana, some will tap for card draw or card advantage, some will buff your other creatures, some will be pingers, some will gain life. That's a lot of things going on for one deck or one tribe. The issue becomes these are all ETBs. Now that is also a great thing because it's not a cast trigger, but it is an ETB. So in other people's turns, they're not the best. That's why this deck has this dude right here. General Tazri. Basically, he's a tutor, he finds another ally. He also has a buff, pay Wooburg, and you can buff your creatures equal to the amount of colours that the creatures have. And this is kind of a secret commander deck because General Tazri is going to go find this guy, Zada, Hedron Grinder. Zada, whenever there's a spell that targets just Zada, Zada sends that spell across to every other creature and it gets copied. So what we're going to do, we're going to get Tazri in. To get Zada, we'll start firing off flicker spells at Zada. Now these flicker spells are all instants, so that I can do them in other people's turns. And they're all flicker, excuse me, immediately and back. None of this come back at end step. So the idea is targeted removal. We're going to be able to flicker out of targeted removal. We can tap all our creatures and attack. I do have a card that actually makes them tap for mana as well, all creatures. And then if someone attacks us, we can bounce them all up, down, be ready for combat. There's a card in there that gives them all +2/+2 for every ally that enters the battlefield. And once you get 3 or 4 of them entering the battlefield at the same time, that's going to be +8/+8. It's another one that deals damage to other creatures equal to the number of allies you've got every time they ETB. So there's a lot going on. The great thing about Zada is it doesn't just target other allies, it's all creatures. So obviously I've got a Timeless Witness in there which is going to pull those cards back from the graveyard. I've actually got a tutor, managed to find a 49-cent tutor which will get me Timeless Witness back, or Timeless Witness into my hand from my library. Love that. The whole deck comes in at under $50. Oh, to be precise, $50.05. My apologies. And it's just a load of fun. We're going to be flickering Zada. Each time we do that, Tazri gets flickered. He goes, finds me another ally. That ally will do something else. We've got Goma Fada in there, which gives us indestructible. Someone goes to board wipe, flicker everybody. Goma Fada makes everybody indestructible. Wipe out everybody else, not us. So it's a bit of fun there. We also have ways to buff them. We have ways to drain people. There's a Hagra Diabolist in there, which will do damage every time an ally enters the battlefield. It'll do damage equal to the number of allies to a target opponent. So lots going on. I found an amazing card which creates tokens every time creatures enter the battlefield, tokens of them. And overall, I think this is a fabulous little deck for, as I said, $50.05, not counting lands. Prices are from Card Kingdom, not a sponsor, as of the last 3 days, July 10, 11, 12, 2024. Well worth a look. So let's go for a ride, shall we? Straight off the bat, we got 5 cards Look, they're not the strongest cards. They're there just to be allies and get triggers. So we can give ourselves haste, lifelink, trample, double strike, and flying. So that's all handy. Every time an ally enters battlefield, I get one of those. Got a bit of support here. Beastcaller Savant taps for 1 mana. Harabaz Druid taps for mana equal to the number of allies. This is the most expensive card in the deck. It's $1.79. Every other card is 79 cents or less. And it's about 70 allies. I'm kind of playing with the cream of the crop, but there are quite a lot that actually get +1/+1 counters when an ally enters a battlefield. So you could do some kind of Voltron strategy if you wanted, where you just build them up. Next up, we got Munda Ambush Leader. So that's a bit of card selectivity. Get to look at the top of the library, rearrange it, put some allies on top. And Seagate Lawmaster. This guy, tap him, draw for cards equal to the number of allies. And finally, Jawari Shapeshifter. Awesome little card this, because he can come in as a copy of any of the others. Only General Tazri and Zada are actually legendary. All the others aren't, so problem solved. Now let's get on the serious stuff. Ondu Cleric. Every time an ally enters a battlefield, gain life equal to the number of allies. Calastria Healer, that's a drain and gain kind of card. Every time an ally enters a battlefield, each opponent loses a life, I gain one. That's all good. Cards like that one especially, they start off it's 1 or 2 and people don't mind, and suddenly you're flickering 5 and they're losing 5 life, and then they start getting worried. Kazul Warlord, +1/+1 counters. Yep, every time an ally enters, he puts +1/+1 counters. And I get it. Once you bounce them, you're going to lose those. But when they come back in, all en masse, 4 or 5 of them, you're still going to get 5 +1/+1 counters. You're just going to lose them every turn and regain them. Big deal. Tajuru Archer. It can kill flyers equal to, or give them damage, should I say, equal to the number of allies. It's a bit of protection. As you saw earlier, we did have a card that gave us flying. Hero of Goma Fada. Look at this boy. Now, firstly, I want to point out, all creatures get indestructible, not just the allies. So as I said earlier in the intro, someone board wipes, I flicker them all. If he's on the battlefield, he would actually be the second card I get after Zada. Gives me all protection. Everybody becomes indestructible. That's fabulous. Marassa Pyromancer. Check this out. Every time an ally enters a battlefield, he deals damage equal to the number of allies to a target creature. There we go. Let's start wiping the board. Start popping them off. Tajuru Warcaller. +2 gives every ally +2/+2 whenever an ally enters. And if you're making 4 of them, 5 of them enter at the same time, they're all going to get +8, +8, +10, +10. That's carnage. That's just carnage. As I said, I do have a card that actually allows, should I say, creatures to tap for mana. So you could be all tapped out. Someone goes, yeah, I'll go attack you, JP. Flicker aimed at Zada. Flickers all the rest. Suddenly, my guys are all up, ready for combat, and sitting there all buff. Tuk Scrapper kills artifacts every time an ally enters the battlefield and deals damage to the opponent, assuming the artifact goes to the graveyard. I also have a Liquid Metal Torque in this deck as part of my ramp package. That, of course, can also tap and make anything else an artifact. So those two together are potent. Disgustingly potent. Tuk Scrapper would be obviously great against artifact decks, great against Voltron equipment decks. Will put anybody who's playing a food clue strategy under pressure. Finally, Hagra Diabolist. Diabolist? Life loss, target player, equal to the number of allies I've got. That's all pretty good, isn't it? Allies come in, you go lose 5 life. So, how are we going to do this? Well, here are my flicker cards. Acrobatic Maneuver, Blur, Scroll Shift. Now, I want to point out, these guys all draw me a card. And so when that spell gets copied by Zada to every other creature will also get me to draw a card. They'll all bounce. I'll draw a card for each creature that cops this. That's brilliant. So I'm looking at gaining 3 or 4 cards every time. I've also got Cloud Shift, Flicker of Fate, Lae'zel's Acrobatics. Lae'zel's Acrobatics can actually, if you roll high enough, do it twice. That could be a game finisher with Hagra Diabolist out there. Planar Incision and Momentary Blink. So plenty of cards to grab and to flicker. And like I said, if I get that Timeless Witness into the battlefield, life's all good. I'm flickering the Timeless Witness. I'm grabbing one of these cards out my graveyard. There's no downside to this. I can do this forever. There is some buff here. Call for Unity. Gets a counter on it every time a creature leaves the battlefield, and every creature gets +1/+1 for each counter on Call for Unity. Won't take long for that to become huge and cause some serious problems. Now, if we're flickering creatures, let's do an Impact Tremors. Every time they come in, do 1 damage to each opponent. That's a Hagra Diabolist trigger, but it does everybody. And also a Pandemonium. Creatures will do damage equal to their power to other creatures or players. Got a bit more recursion here. Agadeem Occultist can tap that puppy, take any card out of an opponent's graveyard, put it onto the battlefield under my control. Grave Shifter, it's a changeling, so it comes in as an ally. Once again, getting all those ally triggers. That's just in case someone gets rid of my Timeless Witness or it ends up in the graveyard somehow or whatever. He can grab anybody that dies, brings them back. So what we need during your turn is a way of putting allies onto the battlefield to get those triggers, just in case you don't have one to cast at the moment. Gideon, ally of Zendikar, puts a token on, just do the 0. That's all he's in there for. Captain's Clause, every time you attack, you create an ally. So you can swing in, put those on your dude. Everybody swings towards someone. You create an ally. Go Mafada will give them all indestructible. Tajuru Warcaller will give them +2/+2. There you go. There's other cards in there that give them lifelink and trample, double strike. It gets ridiculous. Retreat to Emeria's in there. Landfall trigger. Every time a land enters the battlefield, guess what? I make another ally. I get more triggers. And finally, not finally. Actually, I've got 2. Join the ranks. This is an instant. Puts a couple of allies in. It's there because it is an instant. I can trigger that. Put 2 allies in. Once again, get all that value out of my ally engine. And this one, Progenitor's Icon. It's actually in the ramp package. 3 mana to cast. I like this. And quite honestly, this should be in any Hyper Tribal deck. Choose a creature type, allies, and you can actually tap him and cast an ally in someone else's turn. Like, that's fabulous. It gives them flash. That's a Vidalcan Orrery on the cheap. I get it. Now, here comes... Oh, I love this card. Honestly, I can't believe I found it. I read it and I went, what? And read it again and went, what? Dual Nature. Every time a creature enters the battlefield, not cast, enters, create a token of it. When that creature leaves the battlefield, the token dies. When Dual Nature leaves the battlefield, all the tokens die. Who cares? It doesn't matter. This is effectively a poor man's Panharmonicon. I'm getting double triggers. When my guys flicker and come back to the battlefield, I get a double trigger because it makes a token of them. Even the commander, General Tazri, it'll make a token of General Tazri before it dies, which still gets me the chance to go and find another ally. This is awesome. Absolutely fantastic card. I'm impressed with this. Now, obviously, when I flicker, all those tokens, they're going to disappear, and they don't actually die because they're being flickered. So they don't go to the graveyard. So I couldn't do a graveyard trigger. By the way, Zulaport Cutthroat is also an ally. So if you want to kind of do a little bit aristocratic, you could do that as well. However, I did find this card. Vila the Nightclad, 99 Flaming Cents. In Demir, mind you. When creatures leave the battlefield, not go to the graveyard, just leave the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. Brilliant. So every time I now flicker cards, all my allies leave the battlefield, the tokens disappear, Vila the Nightclad kings everybody for 1 life per creature, they all come back in, you've got Impact Tremors pinging everybody for 1, you've got the Hagra Diabolist entering the battlefield, making a token, you could have your Jawari dude become a copy of the Hagra Diabolist and make more pinging of people. It gets ridiculous. This could get absolutely ridiculous. Now some game winners. Flesh / blood. I don't even know what the flesh part does. I didn't read it. As soon as I read the blood, I went, that's got to be in here. Target creature I control, Zada, deals damage equal to its power to target creature or player. When I fire this off at Zada, everybody will do damage equal to their power to a target player. That is awesome. That will kill. Also got an instant that does exactly the same thing. Soul's Fire. Target creature I control deals damage equal to its power to any target. There we go. I can destroy planeswalkers, creatures, people. That is just absolutely fabulous pair of cards there, and they are game winners. Now let's have a quick look at some ramp. I've got Inga and Essica. Fabulous little cards here. Creatures can tap for mana. Now that mana can only be spent to cast a creature spell, but it doesn't matter. Who cares? if I got Progenitor Icon out, I could actually be casting allies during other people's turns and getting all those extra triggers. That'll all work. Other than that, just some standards, Rampant Growth, Farhaven Elf. There's another card that could be pinged and get me more mana. I don't know why I don't have a Solemn Simulacrum in this. I did want to try and keep my mana quite low. Secura Tri-Builder. If you do have it and you happen to get Dual Nature out, well, hold on to him and just sacrifice the token every time. I got a Chromatic Lantern. This is the most expensive card in the deck. $3, $2.99. That's just to fix the mana. It comes out, everybody, all the lands tap for any color. That's all good. Sol Ring, obviously, as if it's not going to be there. Arcane Signet, as if that's not going to be in a 5-color deck. Solar Transformer. This is a new card, and it's 35 cents, and I rate it. Comes in with 3 energy counters. So you don't have to make energy counters. You don't have to proliferate them. It comes in with them, and it taps for colorless. Or you can tap, get rid of one of those energy counters, and that can be one of any color you like. So basically, bringing it on turn 2, it can tap for color turns 3, 4, 5, turn 6, it now taps for colorless. And if you haven't got your mana sorted by turn 6, you're in a bit of problem anyway. So who cares? You know, I think that is a great little card in a multicolored deck early in the game. 2 to come in. Sure, it comes in tapped, but you know, 2 and tapped is better than 3 and live, quite honestly. Speaking of 3 and live, Decanter of Endless Water. Gives me no maximum hand size. Taps for one of any colour. That's in there because Thought Vessel taps for colourless. He's there because I do have potential to draw a lot of cards. And like I said, Thought Vessel, which is a much better card, taps for colourless. Draw cards. Distant Melody, Pact of the Serpent, effectively the same cards. Yep. Allies. Draw cards equal to the number of allies you've got. Ring Sight. Here we go. This is the tutor. How cool. 49 cents, guys. 49 cents. The first time I saw this, I think this was in the Baldur's Gate or the Lord of the Rings set. Lord of the Rings, because the ring tempts you. Search a library for a card that shares a colour with a legendary creature you control. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. So it's not going to be able to get you any artifacts, but it'll get you any other card you like. Not even creature, card. That is awesome. For 3 mana, you think about it. Grim Tutor for 3 mana puts it on top of your deck. Demonic Tutor for 2 mana puts any card in your hand. This is 1 mana more than a Demonic Tutor. Sure, it's restricted, no artifacts, but that is still a damn fine card. And finally there, in the draw, we've got Broker's Charm. Can destroy enchantments, can draw 2 cards, and target creature I control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. It deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker. So a little bit of removal, kind of utilitarian card, really. Bit more interaction going on. Blacksmith's Skill. So I've got this in. It gives a permanent, indestructible and hexproof. So I could fire this off at Zada, give all my creatures hexproof. I could also use this to protect some of my other permanents because it says permanents. Okay, this is just a cheaper version of Tamiyo's safekeeping, really. Forget the other bit about artifact creature. It's not going to happen. Prize Fight. That's in there. That's a nice little card. Once again, I fire this off at Zada. It gets copied for every other creature I got. They fight target creature I don't control. That's effectively a board wipe. And it creates a treasure token. So every copy will create a treasure token. Now, if I've got a couple of tokens out there, plus 3 or 4 proper cards, I'm making 6, 8 tokens. It only cost me 2 to put them in. It's effectively a mana ramp and board wipe, all in one. Oh man, you just can't say no to that. Ambuscade. Once again, target creature I control gets +1/+0. It deals damage equal to its power to target creature an opponent controls. It's just a kill card. And finally, now this one, you really have to say this one as if you are playing a video game. You ready for this? It's Spinning Wheel Kick. See, that would work in Street Fighter. Yes, Spinning Wheel Kick. Double green, double X. Target creature I control deals damage equal to its power to each of X target creatures and or planeswalkers. Now, I don't need to invest too much in the double X because it's going to get copied by all the other allies. In fact, creatures, my apologies. Zada is creatures. So for 4 mana, every creature I got can deal damage equal to its power to any other creature I like. There you go. There's another board wipe. That just kills them all. Finally, got a little bit of a tricky one here. Stitch in Time. This guy is going to give you an extra turn. Got to like that, haven't you? 3 mana. Okay, you do flip a coin. If you win the flip, you take an extra turn after this one. But if you're bouncing your Timeless Witness, you can get this back. Try it again if it doesn't work the first time. It's in there for a bit of fun. We'll see what happens. So that's the deck. Hope you liked it. I didn't actually mention I left enough in the budget to buy a County Territory / County Ambush. Dual mode, target creature fights another creature. You can see where that's going. I will say, if you didn't like the extra turn, the stretch in time, go the extra $1, get this puppy. Mystic Reflection. Put it up on the screen right there. Awesome. So not only is it great for removal of their commander or something, they put a big creature in, you can turn it into someone else's Lanoir elf. But if they've got a big creature that's non-legendary, I'm going to say non-legendary, you could flicker all your guys, maintain priority, play this, choose that big Eldrazi, dinosaur, dragon, whatever it is they've got there, and when everybody comes back in, they become copies of it. Off you go. Just romp over them. Great for a finisher because then you're a little bit stuck. Because then they're all that creature. But if it's worth copying, they're probably worth keeping like that anyway. Okay. Next time I'm going to do Wilhelt the Rock Cleaver. This deck started out as just a zombie, typal tribal, stompy kind of deck, and it's just become combo and you know, one of those horrible things people don't like playing against. Anyway, I don't actually play it very often. Don't know why. More than likely because I don't particularly like losing to combos, so I don't do it to other people. But anyway, that's what I'm going to do. In the meantime, you go live your best life. I'll see you next month. Cheers. Oh, one other thing. This deck is on Moxfield. J _ P under the very creative title of Allies. What did you think? Cheers. Bye-bye.